Hey, what's up, guys and gals? Toogie here, back again with another episode of my Ottawa Senators franchise mode series right here on NHL 18. And in today's episode, we continue on with what we started in the last episode, that being starting to get rid of some of the members of the core that simply aren't going to be getting it done. That's quite obvious at this point in time. Of course, at the end of the last episode, at the end of the last episode, we traded Craig Anderson to Tampa Bay, getting back Cal Foote. We also traded Cody Ceci to Colorado for Nick Mellock and picks. And that brings us to the big decisions. What happens with Mike Hoffman? What happens with Pajot? What happens with Ryan Dzingel? And I'll tell you this, for Pajot and Dzingel, I don't know if I'm getting rid of them yet. I genuinely have not decided as to what I want to do with them, and I suppose it does really kind of decide on what we do with Mike Hoffman, who, despite being our leading goal scorer, will in fact be traded. He will in fact be traded in this episode. Now, I have gone ahead and I have scouted out 4 locations, 4 teams in which I would be comfortable in trading Mike Hoffman to, for a few reasons, as we will get into. In terms of what we're looking for, all 4 of these teams have one thing in common, that being that they are willing to trade their first round pick, and they are also not division rivals. So there was the thought of maybe talk to Toronto about Mitch Marner, who is an RFA. Of course, we had the option to use the whole cheap RFA deal to get him. We did not do that. He is not playing this season, as he is without a contract. Flat out, I don't want to trade Mike Hoffman to Toronto. I have a feeling that will come back to haunt us for quite a long time. There are teams like the Canucks that have some decent prospects I'd be interested in. Oliver Wahlstrom for one, but they don't want to trade that first round pick. So again, there are 4 teams that have come up that I am looking at potentially making a deal with. And we will start off with St. Louis. Again, all 4 of these teams are willing to trade their first round pick. But with the Blues, you have someone like Robert Thomas, Nolan Foote, Klim Kostin, Tage Thompson. I would say the gem of this team is Jordan Kyrou, though. 82 overall at 21 years old, currently playing on the Blues. 9 goals, 24 assists this season. He's looking like one hell of a player. That said, the one downside with the St. Louis Blues, despite them having a slightly under 500 record, is that they're not all that interested in Mike Hoffman. So that raises the question of, is it worth potentially getting back less? Maybe we are able to get Kyrou in a first, but not anything else. Is that worth it? That's the big question, especially too when you look at team number 2, that being the Philadelphia Flyers. One thing they have in common with the Blues, aside from being willing to trade their first round pick, they are also not interested in Hoffman. However, Norm Hogan is one hell of a prospect, 70 overall at 18 years old, the 11th overall selection in the 2019 draft. He would be a strong addition to this team. Do not say Travis Konechny. You can see the value of Mike Hoffman. That's not happening. We move to team number 3. Unlike the prior 2, they are willing to trade for Mike Hoffman. They're interested. So does that automatically make this the better destination, the better team to make a deal with? That is the question. As far as prospects go, the only guy that they have listed available is Bowen Byram, who would not be a bad target, to be honest. 67 overall at 18 years old, the 12th overall pick in the 2019 draft. And that brings me to the final team, the Colorado Avalanche, who we have already struck one deal with, but another could be in the cards. Now, they do have a very good record. They are, of course, willing to trade their first round pick and are interested in Mike Hoffman. As far as players that they are willing to trade, well, Connor Timmins is there. Although, Sam Girard, Peyton Krebs, and perhaps most interestingly, Tyson Jost. Now, intrigue got the better of me, and I found out exactly what it would take to get Tyson Jost. That being or exactly how a Tyson Jost deal would work out, that being Jost a first and a third. Is that a good enough return for Mike Hoffman? Well, I got to admit, I think it is. It's more than likely a better return than what we get for Kyrou. Jost is the better player. If you factor in, like, well, if you go for Connor Timmins instead, you might be able to sneak a second-round pick in there. That is true. But is Tyson Jost better than Connor Timmins and a second? So put it this way. Jost a first and a third. Is that better than Timmins a first, second, and third? I would say so. Now, the plan wasn't originally to go out and get Hoffman's immediate replacement. And whether or not Jost plays on the wing or at center, I'm not yet sure. Depends on who seems to be a better fit for that top line left wing vacancy, whether that is Jost or Kevin Fiala. But you look at the attributes, you look at the stats, you look at the stats. I mean, he's outscoring Mike Hoffman, which perhaps isn't too much of a surprise when you look at some of the offensive talent he's playing with this season. But Tyson Jost is perhaps the best target. Again, the one downside, as opposed to a Jordan Kyrou, is that the Avs are a better team. But you also have the added factor that they're interested in Hoffman. So each team has their own positives. Each team has their own positives and negatives to working out a deal with one of these clubs. But I think because we are getting an NHL-ready player, they're interested in Hoffman, they're willing to move the pick, and for the fact that they are a Western Conference team, I know we already just worked out one deal for them, but I'm thinking that actually, who did we trade? We traded Cody Ceci there. I was going to say, no, that's right. Yeah, we traded Craig Anderson to Tampa. I'm thinking old Cody Ceci here is going to be reunited with an old teammate. And by an old teammate, I mean technically we're making these trades, a week or so after the Ceci and Anderson trade? I am thinking this is the move to make. So it is going to be Tyson Jost, a first and a third. I might try to safety net it with one extra late round pick. I know for a fact that will go through. A second round pick simply will not work unless I add something in on our side, which is not what I want to do, especially considering they don't have that much cap space. And there really isn't anybody that it would be worth to get rid of. I mean, even talking about Pajot and Dzingel, I'm almost thinking we just keep him, because with Dzingel, there's really nobody to, there's really no value there. The only reason that keep Ryan Dzingel, or to get rid of Ryan Dzingel, I should say, is if it's worth giving Paul and, God, I always forget his name. What's your name? What is your name? Low top 9 potential. I can't remember. Gabriel Gagne. I didn't even have to look up to it. I remembered. Point being, Mike Hoffman is joining Cody Ceci in Colorado for Tyson Jost and picks. This is the deal to be made. So let's do it. The Colorado Senators are going to be a thing. And actually, I don't believe the extra third round pick will work, but what about 2/4? How close are we there? Again, I have a little bit of maneuverability here, and I'm going to take advantage of it to get everything back that we possibly can for one Mike Hoffman. I don't believe the 7th round pick next year will work, but we're going to find out. Will that go through? A 1st, 3rd, 4th, and a 7th next year? How about just the 1st, 3rd, and 4th? We'll take out the 4th, go for a 5th this year, and a 7th next year. Will it go through? No, it will not. What about now? Still no. That's okay. See, that's what I meant, is, the 1st and the 3rd is pretty much all we're going to get back. But I can try for more, damn it. And you know me. I will. Even if it's just the 7th next year. That kind of goes to show you just how little maneuverability there is. Can we get the 7th next year? Yes, we can. Mike Hoffman is off to the Avalanche to be alongside Nathan MacKinnon. What kind of monster have I created? In return, we get Tyson Jost, a 1st, 3rd, and a 7th next year. Again, looking at the teams, not where it necessarily made sense for them, but where it made sense for us in terms of getting the most value back, that was the move to make. Tyson Jost, welcome to Ottawa, and now we get to try and figure out just what the hell we're going to do with this team. But in the meantime, Jost can pretty much just take that top line spot. I might change him off of a two-way, even though it might not matter that much, although he is a pretty damn good two-way player. Let's go to extras for the moment. 3-on-3 lines. And let's get Jost onto this team. So like I said, there are a couple of other players, a couple of other moves that might need to be made, just in case we want to call up some players here. And again, that would be Dzingel and Pajot primarily. There's no denying that the fourth line is much better with those two on it. Dzingel wants to stay. Pajot does not. Is it worth keeping Ryan Dzingel if he really only, looks to be, I guess for lack of better wording there, he's only going to be a bottom six guy, and that is until certain players are ready. But Jason Robertson, as it is, he's a fourth line guy. Paul, Hlapik, Bowers, Gagne, we're getting close to that point now where it's about time for them to go, I got to admit. And in terms of guys like Callahan and Cassian, again, they're just going to be healthy scratches for this year, and then we let go of them. They don't really have any trade value to begin with. Although I suppose bringing in some extra fourth-round picks or whatever couldn't hurt. We're going to keep Zach Smith. Bobby Ryan stays for now. Ty Ronning and Gusev will stay for now, although I'm happier with Gusev than I am with Ty Ronning. Yes, we kind of kept him for a joke, although it made sense with him hitting the free agent market to bring him in. Dzingel and Pajot, I just don't know what to do. We'll call up Paul and Gagne with Smith as the center. You know what? We know what we're going to get with these two. We know that they're not going to be major focal points, particularly with Pajot. I don't feel like re-signing him when he's only going to play on our fourth line. So I think we got to move on. As you get a look at the trade value for our first round pick, it's shaping up to be an interesting offseason for us. With Dzingel, is there any value there whatsoever? Again, the only reason to get rid of him is just so that he's not sitting there taking up a spot. And then you look at Pajot. I have no idea where I want to trade these two, but if it is a team that would like to take both of them, that would be great. Downside to Carolina is, of course, that they don't have that extra roster spot. The Bruins are willing to make a deal. I won't do that to you, Sens fans. Don't worry. Anaheim? Anybody? Kavanaugh, Comtois, and Morand. I like the idea of getting Alexander Kavanaugh a little bit more. Although, obviously, Morand and Comtois both KHL alumni. But I don't even know if we could get one of them, to be honest. I do not know. I wish I could see their stats from this season, but apparently not. Will a deal go through for one of them? I don't recall using Antoine Morand in any series. He's not that good of a center. Again, I'd prefer to get Kavanaugh just because, 3 overall points. I'm going for Kavanaugh. He's the best player. Will that go through? No, it will not. So we're not even looking at that high a caliber of player. It's rough times right now on the market for these particular players, and as you get a look here at some of the other guys that are on the block, William Karlsson is on the trade block right now. So some things haven't exactly panned out the way some teams may have thought. Barbashev, it's not worth it considering what we'd be getting back. Latunov is not worth it. It's looking like we don't have space for Lozon. It's looking like unless we add a draft pick in, we're not getting anybody half decent anyway, so we might as well just go all draft pick, right? That's what it's looking like. Yeah, unless we want to get like Sealer or Justin Clues, which just doesn't exactly work. So, who has the roster spots? Who has interest? Is my question. I will send them anywhere but Boston pretty much, or Toronto, just to spare you that. Minnesota seems to be the place. We'll trade them out to the Western Conference, actually, so that was perfect. As they are willing to move a second. I don't see that happening. But a third rounder, And you know what? Let's just add on picks here until we find out just what exactly we're dealing with value-wise. That was probably too much to begin with. Third and a fourth goes through. I will take it. A third and a fourth. It frees up space for Paul and Gagne. Cassian and Callahan, I'll send them down for the moment while we get to go best lines at the NHL level. So again, I wasn't completely sold on whether or not we were moving on from Pajot and Dzingel. It makes sense to. Unfortunately, it makes sense to. I need to change Tyson Jost to a left wing. I'm going to have to change up the lines here for the end of the season. And to be honest, we might not be done with the moves just yet, particularly with defense. We still have a decent amount of depth there, but we are going to finish the regular season sim. Damn it, I went to Colin White and not Tyson Jost. That's a good waste of 10 seconds. We are going to finish the regular season sim. Next episode will at the very least be the draft. So let's change Jost over. Colin White will still be the second line center for the moment. So there you go. Tyson Jost, number 17 on the Ottawa Senators. And we have to move Zach Smith back to center just for the sake of best lines working out relatively well. Just in case if I don't want to set up the power play, which at this stage, why bother setting up the power play and the penalty kill, I guess, unless we wanted to make sure certain players get ice time, which I'll probably go ahead and do that because you know me, I love micromanaging. It's what I do. Simplicity is for fools and people who value their time more than I do. It actually has Gusev on a higher line. We'll run Jost on the second line. We'll put Fiala on the first for the moment. And there we go. Actually, the lines are good. Shabbat, Carlson, Montour, Trampkin, Rykov, and Wolanin. We actually do have to negotiate some contracts as well. So we have Borowiecki there. Let's go back. We'll call up Callahan. And Zach Cassian. And now we'll sort out the AHL lines. And actually, I better get ready with the old calculator app on the old PC here. So let's see. Down in the AHL, what is this shaping up to be? We'll take out Ethan Werk because we don't really have to care about him. We have Lucic and Batherson. We know that Formenton needs to get into the lineup. Ciampini we don't have to worry about. Batherson needs to go in. And Lucic, I don't really have to worry about. It's Lucic or Perron as far as who needs to get into the lineup. And it doesn't really matter which one it is. So let's set up this team here. So let's say we have McCormick, Bowers. We have another very physical presence. Jason Robertson, actually. So we'll have that as the fourth line. We'll have Perron. Who do we want here on these lines? Okay, I think we'll still go Kravtsov, Gersic, Batherson, Hlopik, Formenton, Masherin? Do we want to go with Gregor? The million-dollar question. Actually, we'll put Sebastian on the fourth line. That works. Are we being too specific about this? Maybe. Oh, let's have Robertson higher up. So, yeah, that works right there. We don't need to be any more specific than that. That works. And then defensively, it's just Leopold that's scratched, which I am okay with for the rest of this season at least. So we'll go Stillman, Foote, Lajoie, Yaros, Harper, Mellock. Goaltenders are Skinner and Gustafsson. We're good to go. The healthy scratches are in place. Again, the power play. Gusev is there. I'm okay with Gusev being there. Logan Brown's also on the power play instead of Colin White. I am okay with that. So in terms of having to make other trades, I would say that's not the case. We're good to go. So before we continue on with the sim, let's sort out the contract situation. In terms of the players that will actually be sticking around beyond the season. Of course, we got rid of Hoffman, Pajot, and Dzingel. I believe it was only Dzingel who wanted to stay. Hoffman did not, so it works itself out. Anton Khudobin is just been signed for the rest of the season. Chabot as an RFA, we do have $22 million. I'm not that worried about Chabot right now. Do we want to bring back Wolanin? I still think he's asking for a tad bit too much. Like, it's not bad. Under 3 for a third pairing guy isn't the worst, but it's also not the best, especially when you consider Mellock, judging by how much he's asking for, will probably be okay with accepting a little bit less. So I could look at moving Wolanin, or at least not prioritizing him. You know, if you look at what Lajoie is asking for, what Ben Harper is asking for, I just assumed, and thankfully I was right, that he wasn't asking for too much. These guys, I mean, at least with Lajoie, he's at the age where he should develop a little bit further. He'll be a third pairing guy. So I think Wolanin can go, which kind of sucks. Logan Brown's an RFA. Basically, all the guys we're looking to bring back are RFAs anyway. So that works out quite well. So Khudobin, we won't re-sign. Let's try to get the Thomas Chabot contract out of the way now, even with him being an RFA. And the cheaper the contract, the better. He's looking for 4 years. That'll bring him straight into his prime, which I am okay with, especially if he continues to at least improve slightly. We can drop that down to 3.7. So 3.7 for 4 years is quite the contract. We'll hold off on Wolanin for the moment. We'll bring back Lajoie for, yeah, you know what, 2 years works. That's a fair request. That is a fair request, and we can bring him in for $950, which again, cheap deal compared to Wolanin. Same thing with Ben Harper. We'll actually go 1 year for him. If he doesn't improve and isn't on the NHL team next year, then it would have been his last year anyway. So we'll go 1 year at $1 million. Borowiecki, I'm going to plan on letting him go. There is a chance, though, that I bring him back as the depth option, as our healthy scratch. So we'll see what happens. For the Borowiecki fans, do not panic. His career here might not be over just yet. We'll also look at Gagne. You are looking for a little bit more than I was hoping, but still, it's not that much in the grand scheme of things. 1,325. It's not bad. It's about the same price as Dzingel, really, I'd assume. Nathan Bastian as well, getting to the point where he's expected to be a fourth-line guy with how much he's asking for. We'll sign into that deal. Spencer Moe, we're just going to let go of. Left wings, Nick Paul, now that you're looking to be on the main team, what do you want to sign for? 1.5 even. It's not too bad. Max McCormick and Francis Perron we'll let go of as well. Perron's, yeah, I mean, defensively he's solid. If we were to change him over to a two-way, he'd actually be looking pretty good, but it'd be better if he was medium top 9. He's not going to get much better than that. Logan Brown, looking for a decent deal. To be honest, 4 years at 3.8 is probably the way to go. We'll save that a little bit of money. Actually, it's nothing. Never mind. I'll just give him what he wants. It's fine. So we'll go 3 years at 3.325. Solid deal there. Hlopik needs a deal as well. Again, relatively cheap. I will probably just re-sign Wolanin at this rate, considering how much money we're not spending. And Aaron Lucic, I'd love to bring back, but medium bottom 6. Medium bottom 6. He and Perron, it's like they're close, but I don't see it happening. So we'll wait to see what happens with these first batch of offers. 9 contract offers sent out. And we are good to move beyond the trade line. The trade deadline. The trade line? The trade deadline. We still have a week to go, so there is a chance, man. I just called it the trade line. That's amazing. That should be the name of the episode if I don't forget. And if I didn't name this episode the trade line, you knew I forgot. Thomas Chabot, Ben Harper, Nick Paul, Gabriel Gagne, Philip Hlopik, Maxime Lajoie, Nathan Bastian, Nick Mellock, Logan Brown have all accepted their contract offers, which is great. So we'll double check what the situation is. And again, there is that outside chance of me still trading somebody like Wolanin. But we are trying to keep things as competitive as possible. We're trying to give ourselves as many options as possible, especially in the early stages here. So Khudobin we don't have to worry about. Wolanin we'll bring back. I'll commit to it. We still have all the money in the world. I'm going to look to bring him back on a 1-year deal, though, just so that he's a little bit easier to flip. 3 years is a bit much, if you ask me. So we'll drop that down to 2.225. Borowiecki, again, we're planning on letting go of Cassian, Callahan, and Mo, McCormick, Perron, and Lucic. So we are going to be looking to rid ourselves of some players. And again, guys like Lucic and Mo, I might be able to trade for something at least, which really is probably worth it. It at least gives us something. I mean, people do call it pick hoarding, technically, but I mean, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to hold on to draft? I can just let go of them for nothing, I do suppose. So let me see here. All the 1 years left. Of course, these guys have signed. Wolanin does still have some value, too, so at least if we decide to get rid of him, it'll work itself out. Lucic, Perron, Borowiecki. Of course, we're looking to get rid of McCormick as well. It does make sense, though, with injuries on. That's where it makes sense to keep them. With injuries on, except for Mo, but who cares? With injuries on, of course, it makes sense to keep a little bit of team depth. So there you go. So let's go ahead now and sim to the end of the season. We will end this episode when we find out our lottery odds, as Wolanin has re-signed. We will move through deadline day. We might get our 20th win of the season, or our 21st win of the season against the Rangers, and indeed we do. You watch now, this team with Tyson Jost around will just go on a tear, as Bobby Ryan. Speaking of going on a tear, I didn't even see what the injury was, to be honest. I just wanted to make that pun, as we have now lost 3 straight to begin the month of March, but we do bounce back with a win against Pittsburgh. We'll take out Ryan Callahan and put Bobby Ryan back in the lineup. I'm really intrigued to see how Tyson Jost does for the rest of the season, and really to see if that plus-minus number gets dragged down into the depths along with everybody else. As we got back-to-back wins, we lose to Detroit, but we have won 3 out of 4, make that 4 out of 5. March is normally a time for us to just shit the bed. That is apparently not the case. Lucas Wallmark is on waivers. Not a bad option, really. Someone kind of like a Ty Ronning, where he might be worth giving that third-line spot to. But he is 24. I'm going to hold off. That's not the worst player in the world to pick up on waivers, but we're good, and I don't really know who I'd scratch to make room for him at the AHL level right now. So it wouldn't have been a half-decent option, as we're looking for our 30th win of the season. We will not get it, at least not in March. 29, 37, and 13 with 3 games left to go in the regular season. The Belleville Sens, though, have hit 50 wins now on the year, which is tremendous. We're at 71 points. There's a chance that we could step over Montreal here, which really wouldn't be ideal at all. I do want the worst odds possible. Of course, we'll take a look at all the regular season stats here at the end. But, yeah, let's go ahead and do this. I was tempted to take a look there now, but we have 3 games left. Let's see what happens. To be honest, let me see 2 of it. Is it too late for me to look at what other trades might have gone down? Hopefully not. Yep, it is. I always forget to do that. I'm sorry. I always forget to do that. But, I mean, at this point, at this stage in the series, I mean, you saw some of the trades that went down already. Teams are almost, unrecognizable at this point in time. So we're playing a very good Winnipeg team. We're playing Detroit in a battle for who's going to finish in the basement of this division, and a very good Florida team. I would personally like if we never hit 30 wins, which means we're going to beat Winnipeg here, aren't we? 6-1 loss. Never mind. Never mind. Again, that is quite ideal. A battle of the worst. They'll be cheering when the other team scores. Can we lose to Detroit? No, we cannot. It's a 5-4 win. So Detroit pretty much confirms that they will finish in the basement of this division as we get ready to play the Florida Panthers, who are on their way to the postseason. Ottawa on 67 points. We are at 73. We cannot pass Montreal at least, so that's good. We're shaping up to be quite the bad team, as we also beat Florida. So we do finish with a 31, 38, and 13 record. Belleville, 52 wins on the year. Tremendous. They have one more game in the regular season. Actually, some teams do still have one more game, so we will advance day. Some teams still haven't played all their games. Let me advance day again. We finished our season quite early. There we go. Everyone's at 82 games now. Let's get a little bit of a regular season wrap up in here because, of course, we're going to pretty much be breezing by everything. Flying towards the end of this episode and the postseason. Of course, we finished 7th in the division. The Metro goes to the Penguins. The Central to Nashville, beating Winnipeg on tiebreaker. And the Calgary Flames win the Pacific. So in the entire league, the Penguins take home the President's Trophy. Toronto missed on 95 points, yet St. Louis makes it with 88 over in the West. Anaheim made it on 85 points, so the Eastern Conference dominated. We finished 29th. Vegas, again, happened to be terrible. Detroit, and then ourselves. So there you go. And also, man, the Atlantic yet again sucked with Montreal, Ottawa, and Detroit near the bottom. So we will have very, very good odds heading into the draft lottery, as Belleville will not have home ice advantage in the first round or in the playoffs. Oh, they will in the first round, but possibly not beyond that, as the Utica Comets clinch the conference. That's crazy. 52 wins is not enough for a division title. Looking around the league, but first with our team, Mark Stone led the way with 56 points in 82 games. Erik Karlsson with 85 points. You know, in here, let's just look at the forwards. Jost finished with 51 points, and shockingly, he finished the season as a positive player. That's insane. Fiala with 46 points. At this stage, I kind of look beyond these point totals this season. It was just such an off year. Someone like Gusev getting 35 points is nice. Logan Brown nearly at 30. He would have made it if he didn't miss 10 games. Ronning was a bit disappointing. Bobby Ryan was awful. Oh, my God. Oh, he was bad. Zach Smith was pretty good on the fourth line. Gagne, 6 points in 23 games, 4 points for Nick Paul. So, I mean, you times that by 4. Paul's in a pretty good spot. Gagne's in a pretty good spot, too, as a fourth liner. Just as a general thing, that doesn't always work. But still, not too shabby. On defense, Karlsson and Shabbat did pretty well. Montour was all right, and then just nothing point-wise from Wolanin, Rykov, or Nikita Trampkin. In goal, Shesterkin struggled, 52 appearances with a 909. Hadobin with 6 appearances, he had a 908. Maciej Tomek, though, 1 appearance, a 964 save percentage, because that's just how this game works. For whatever reason, around the league, let's take a look here. Malkin with 94 points, one of 3 players to break the 90-point mark, along with McDavid and Barzal. No real surprising names up there, I would say. In terms of the rookie race, Kaprizov, 69 points, 45 goals. Is absolutely going to win Rookie of the Year. The Calder will be his. Veleno, Strome, Kyrou, Owen Tippett, Nikita Gusev, 27 years old, was up there. We can pretty much guess what goaltender was going to lead the way in terms of wins. Ovechkin does take the scoring race, though. He and Malkin, the only two to hit 50. Best plus-minus in the league for the hell of it. Evgeny Malkin, worst in the league. Nick Jensen, shocker. Look at the bottom 4, all Red Wings, and then unfortunately Colin Miller gets dragged down by a rough Vegas team. Penalty minute king, Jake Dotchin, to the surprise of nobody. Power play goals, Tavares. Power play points, Tavares. Why am I looking at these? Because I feel like it. Game-winning goals, Tavares. Shocker. He stayed in New York, by the way. Face-offs won. It went to Taves. Time on ice, Nick Leddy is your NHL Iron Man by 2 seconds more per game than Justin Falk. Your hit king is Jordan Stahl. Your block shot king is Ian McCoshen. Your giveaway king, Brandon Hickey. Your takeaway king, Leon Draisaitl. And your fight leader, Jake Dotchin and McDermott, and then everybody else. How many times do you think those two got in a fight? Dotchin and McDermott, my God, just punching faces, fighting around the world with Jake Dotchin. Ronaldo led the way down in the AHL. I quickly just want to look at AHL point totals. Stepniak, Costin, Bronstrom as a defenseman. Oh my god. Sam Carrick, Forsbach, Carlson. And there's Shane Gersich, and Kravtsov. I was wondering where our top scorers would be. So that does it for the standings. That does it for the point totals. That basically does it for the regular season. All we have to do now is sim through the playoffs. I want to know where our top pick will be. But we will follow along with the Belleville Sens as well, as they're playing the Binghamton Devils in round one. Let's sim the first two games here, as it's a 2-0 shutout win and a 3-0 shutout loss. Interesting way to start off a series. Game 3 is a 3-2 win. Game 4 is a 4-3 overtime win. Your Belleville Sens are moving on to round 2. If we make it further into this postseason run, we will go a bit more in-depth. However, there's a reason why I didn't. It's because I had a feeling we would, in fact, be taking on the Utica Comets in the second round, and indeed we are. They, of course, have home ice advantage. They swept their first-round matchup. I'm a little bit scared for our young Sens, although they do pick up 2 wins in the first 3 games. 5-2 in Game 1, a 4-3 overtime loss in Game 2, but a 3-2 overtime win in Game 3. So things are looking all right. We will go ahead and sim the next 2 games since we cannot be eliminated. Game 4 is a 3-2 loss. Game 5 is a 3-2 win. We are 1 win away from the conference final. Can we eliminate Utica in 6 games? No, we cannot. We go to 7 here in the second round against the Utica Comets. It's May 1st, 2020. Let's see what happens. Can these young Sens get the job done? First period is scoreless. The second period is not. I believe that would be Darian Jerzynski. There's 2 Jerzynskis, and I don't remember which one is which, and obviously I have no way to tell. Adam Gaudette and Carcone? Carcone. Regardless, we're in big trouble. I'm just going to sim the third period, and it was a valiant effort. Kravtsov and Batherson, but it was too little, too late. The Utica Comets hold on. They come back and win 2 straight elimination games. The Comets are going to the conference final, and these young Sens have a little bit of disappointment to live with as they fall short in the playoffs. And we'll keep an eye out on whether or not the Comets ended up winning it all. I suppose that is the question. So the next thing we have to do is to take a look at the playoff tree, the Stanley Cup winning team, and the awards before getting to the end of the episode. So let's see. As the New York Islanders, John Tavares and the New York Islanders, Matthew Barzal and the New York Islanders have won the Stanley Cup. Kravtsov had 12 points in 11 games in the playoffs. Oh, it's a heartbreaker. That's a heartbreaker. He put up a hell of a fight. Again, the Stockton Heat win the Calder Cup by sweeping the Comets. So the Comets beat Bridgeport in the conference final in 5, and then they got swept by Stockton. Ridiculous. And then in the NHL, the Colorado Avalanche make it to the final. Cody Ceci and Mike Hoffman, they beat Winnipeg in 5, swept Nashville, beat St. Louis in 5, but then lost to the Islanders in 6. The Islanders' path, Game 7 win over Philly. 6 games, they beat Columbus. Game 7 win over Florida, and then again in 6 games, they beat the Colorado Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup. We basically know at this point what the Avs team looks like, but we don't know for sure what minor changes or even major changes might have been made to the Islanders. Do you really need to make changes, though, when Matt Barzal continues to deliver? That's the question. So getting a look here. Oh, there was a major addition, all right. Barzal, Eberle, Wheeler, and Tavares, all with at least 22 points. That is disgusting. Ho-Sang, 18 points. He's up to an 84. Beauvillier with 13 points. Okposo back on Long Island or in Brooklyn or wherever the hell they are, next to the Mets Stadium at this point with 8 points. Ty Ratty with 7. Andrei Svechnikov with 7. Brock Nelson, Andrew Ladd, Thomas Vanek, and Michael Dalcole. What a team that is, at least when it comes to offensive firepower. Defensively, it's not really that different. Ryan Pulock with an 83 overall, 6-point effort in this postseason, or 6-point effort as an 83 overall. That's a better way to phrase it. Nicoletti with 5 points, Jason Demers, Scott Mayfield, Adam Pelech, and Sebastian Aho. So defensively, not great, but good enough. And Ilya Sorokin. They were able to get the deal done to bring him over from the KHL. Ilya Sorokin leads the way with a .930 save percentage. Linus Soderstrom had 2 appearances, and he did not do well. So there you go. We added in the big 3, Samsonov, Sorokin, and Shesterkin. We have Shesterkin after the Rangers didn't sign him. However, the Islanders did sign Sorokin, and it led directly to a Stanley Cup victory. So there you have it. Chicago wins in year 1, Pittsburgh in year 2. The Islanders win it in game 3. The Penguins won the President's Trophy, but that curse remains. Malkin wins the Art Ross and the Hart. Hedman with the Norris. Ehlers the Lady Byng. The Calder does in fact go to Kaprizov. Sorokin wins the Conn Smythe. Fleury, the Vezina. I didn't even know that Colorado had Fleury. Carter Hart with the Jennings. Ian McCoshen, the Masterton. Taves with the Selke. Malkin with the Ted Lindsay. And the Rocket Richard, yet again, goes to Alex Ovechkin. Down in the AHL, Lee Stempniak put up the most points and was the league MVP. Forsbacka Karlsson scored the most goals. The outstanding rookie was Adam Brooks. Eric Bronstrom was your defenseman of the year. Anders Nilsson was the goaltender of the year. And the MVP of the playoffs, Tyler Parsons, as he takes home that award. And somehow Jeremy Bracco ended up in the Islanders system so that team could continue to get better and better. And that brings us to possibly the biggest moment of this episode. And we traded Mike Hoffman. Think of what we did in this episode. We traded Mike Hoffman. We traded Pajot. We traded Dzingel. Yet, this is what it's all been building up to. We said, okay, the season's done. We suck. We have the 3rd best odds heading into the draft lottery. The question is Lady Luck on our side? I certainly hope so. And at the very least, please don't fall. Stay 3rd or higher. And we fell 2 spots to the 5th overall pick. Such is life for the Ottawa Senators. Even when you're down, you get a little bit of hope, and the rug gets ripped out from underneath you as Detroit, Minnesota, and Dallas are the top 3. So Minnesota and Dallas both move up, Montreal and Carolina style. Vegas at 4. We are at the 5th pick. So we, again, fall in the draft order for the first round, which is, of course, just incredibly disappointing. But we'll try like hell to make the best of it. As you see some of the players that are retiring here, we'll go by games played. Patrick Sharp, Lee Stempniak, Niemi McElhaney, and Thomas Popperle. Popperle. Who knows? It could be Popperle. Could be. You never know with the umlauts there. You never quite know. That said, to end this episode after that disappointment, let's at least try to get our hopes up by looking at the draft board, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to get our hands on a great player. It won't be Alexis Lafreniere. If we had the 3rd pick, there might be a chance at that. It probably won't be Logan Zacharias, who will more than likely go number 1 overall, judging by those stats. Unless a team screws up, maybe Ian Reagan, maybe Ian Postma, or maybe Daniel Primo. It'll be one of those 3 more than likely. I don't think Lafreniere will be available. Maybe we trade down and get a Caden Goulet or a Quentin Byfield or a Marco Rossi. Who knows? I don't know what I have planned for this draft. I don't have a damn clue. I could barely decide if I wanted to trade Pajot and Dzingel in this episode. Do you expect me to think that far ahead? Absolutely not. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's been an off episode for me. I can admit, I don't know. It's an interesting episode. I don't know, and I'm tired. Have you heard that one before? And when I'm tired, and when I'm trying to do this, the words just they mesh together, incoherent thoughts. I don't know. I'm rambling again. So for that, I'm sorry. But I hope you did enjoy the episode. If you did, you know what you can do to support the video and the channel. You guys have been amazing as of late, and I thank you very much for that, whether with this series, A Nation United, or the new Seattle Sea Cattle series. So until next time, have a good one. Take it easy. And I will see you in the next one, where we will do things to this team that may or may not have a positive effect. It's pretty much the name of the game.